Okay, sounds good. All right, apologies for that, everybody. You know how technology can be. So, thank you all for coming. We do tend to read the Indigenous Land Recognition Statement passed by SGA years prior before we have events like this. So, we'd like to recognize that the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point occupies the lands of the Ho-Chunk and Menominee peoples. Please take a moment to honor and acknowledge this ancestral land and the sacred land of all Indigenous peoples. All right. So this forum today is hosted by SGA and facilitated by Stevens Point Television, our student television here on campus. We are here to hear from three candidates for the Portage County Executive. We have Chris Holman, Eric Olson, as well as John Pavelski. So to start off, I think we'll allow each of the candidates to go in order and kind of give an explanation. Each of your answers will be limited to 3 minutes. So keep that in mind as we go forward. We'll allow you each to explain why you're here, why you think you'd be a good candidate, and exactly why you want to run for the position. So we'll start with the person in person here. So Eric, you can start off.
Sure, thanks a lot. And thank you SGA and the student television for helping to make this possible. Thank you to the students who came out and anyone who's viewing online as well. Just thank you all. So if I had to say why I'm doing this, it's really because I love Portage County. I've moved here in 2004, and I've really just found the community and the people to be amazing. And what's driving me to run for this office is that I hear from a lot of people who are frustrated that they can't make progress on certain issues. There's tremendous community capacity in our local governments, in our nonprofits, but they feel like they're being stalled out by the county. And so I know that with a different leader, we could get through some of these things and we could make some progress on issues around groundwater. We could have a more sustainable Portage County government. We could embrace renewable energy and energy conservation. And we can basically have the quality of life that students would want if they want to stick around, have the quality of life that makes all the residents that are currently here happy. And that same quality of life is what draws people into this community. It makes it easier for existing businesses to have people apply for jobs and come to Stevens Point because we have an amazing quality of life. So I'm running basically to carry out a vision, but I'm also running because I also want to open up government. I think that there's a lot of decisions that are happening behind closed doors or maybe in between meetings, and my goal would be to have radical transparency. I think we need to open up government so that everybody knows what's going on, so that it doesn't seem as though the script has already been written before the committee meeting even started, so that everybody gets a chance to weigh in on issues. And I know that we can do this because I've had more than 14 years working with local governments and working with communities, and it's a tried and proven way to do this, is to open up the doors, open up the windows, and make government as transparent as possible.
Thank you. Thank you. We will now move to Chris.
All right, so I'd like to just echo what Eric said there about thanking everybody, SBA, SBTV, for getting this together. It's a good opportunity to have these conversations, and I know a lot of work goes into it, like you said, getting the text sorted out, but sorry I'm not there in person. My wife's actually our town clerk, so she's training election workers tonight, and hopefully my kid's favorite show will carry them through the hour. As far as, why am I seeking the election? I won't lie, the last 2 years have been particularly challenging for everybody. There's been lots of ups and downs for across the community, and that certainly county has not been immune to that. But I think what I'll just say is that when I first decided to run, I could see from my involvement in our town's politics, but also I got involved with the county's Farmland Preservation Committee, which was a little over 2 years in total. That there were just a lot of things that people were disagreeing on, and a lot of disagreements hinged on personalities or just the inability for people to kind of put things on the table, figure out where the consensus was, and kind of put egos, personalities, all that stuff aside, and figure out what makes the most sense. And what I mean by that is that I think it's important for people to acknowledge, and I explain this to a lot of folks too when they reach out to me, and I do get a lot of public input, feedback, and interaction, that many decisions, or almost everything that happens driven so much by what I think necessarily has to be the best, but really what the consensus and the group can agree upon and what puts the county in the best position. And sometimes that's going to run up against people's personal politics or their opinions, and I think it's important that when you're involved in something like the county where you're really looking at as Portage County goes, we're a complex county in terms of who people are, where they're at, and what they value, and where they want to see things go. And so it's not, some things are more straightforward. It's not always easy to thread the needle on things. So my approach has always been to be very intentional about building relationships, building trust and rapport with people, whether that be members of the county board, staff, or the public, so that when these conversations do take place, that people understand that, where maybe there might be more of a place for the kinds of things that distract progress or keep things from happening, it really isn't as welcome in those conversations. And by and large, people do a very good job at the county of putting those things aside and really kind of focus on the issues. And I've built that culture. I've been able to kind of shift things in a way that, some of the more complex conversations are able to take place and get down to brass tacks. And even some of the really mundane things that shouldn't be languishing on someone's desk gathering dust just because people can't get along, getting those moved forward in a productive way. So that was my intention in terms of running. It wasn't to say that one candidate or the other was better or worse than me. It was to say that I've got a different perspective to offer. I've got a different approach. I don't seek the spotlight in terms of issuing press releases about every single thing that we do. I work a lot behind the scenes to empower policymakers and staff so that those conversations can take place. And I feel that I've made a lot of progress in that regard.
All right.
Obviously, there's still lots of complicated issues. The bulk of those issues still don't run through the county executive position, really, but run through the committees and the county board itself.
I don't mean to cut you off, but you have exceeded your time, so I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yep. And we will next move to John.
Again, thank you, Mr. Martin, for inviting me in the SGA leadership. I decided when the basically I was complaining too much. The conversation when I got involved in, I started complaining about this like kids that if you complain, don't be the problem, be the solution. So I decided to put my hand in the hat for the county executive and try to be a solution. I see a lot of government getting bigger and bigger, and that really concerns me. And I also see government getting more expensive and expensive as time goes on. I got 7 children. I was talking to my daughter the other day, and I said, honey, you realize that getting married in the next 2 or 3 years, if you want to live in a 1,500 square foot home in Portage County, it's going to cost you $240,000 to $250,000. How are you going to make that happen? It would be kind of difficult for you to do that at this time. You have to save a lot of money and work a lot of hours at your current rate. And so that concerns me. And so I started looking into the county exec position, and I saw some irregularities that were concerning me, which actually I want to bring up as this forum goes on. And that's why I'm running. I want to trim down government. I believe I can make the county government run more efficiently and save you, the taxpayers, some money. And that's why I'm running. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I also realized I probably should introduce who I am. My name is Will Fader. I'm the student body president here on campus. And then for our audience members going forward, we'll be reading some prepared questions, others submitted by the audience. The candidate guide over there has a QR code on the back to a Google form where you can submit questions. So first off, we will start with a kind of pretty broad question. What is your view on the duty